Okay, we are on the last line on page Nun Vav. We have been deeply involved in the sphirot hagnuzois. Sphirot hagnuzois. This is what represents aliyat haratzon. You have to understand the principle in this. Sphirot is sphirot, 10 spheres. Whereas in truth, mitzad the Ayin Sof, there are spheres ein ketz. What set this limit? I'll be 10 spheres. Clearly, there was some kind of a design intended. And in order to fulfill the design, to accomplish the design, you had to limit the spheres. And it resulted in 10 spheres. 10, as we discussed many times. So 10 spheres, that represents aliyat haratzon. For aliyat haratzon, there was no sense of a definition of a desire to create anything. It is all Ein Sof, Ein Sof. Aliyat haratzon means that there was a will, an intent to reveal that which is contained in Ein Sof. That intent already sets some kind of a boundary, of a design, and that is what sphirot hagnuzois represents. And this is why they're called gnuzois, because this intent is an internal intent, aliyat haratzon. And as we explained yesterday and so forth, aliyat haratzon means the ratzon was not solicited from outside. The ratzon, aliyat haratzon, the ratzon itself rose up. It was initiated from inside. And that's why this is sphirot hagnuzois.
Good, right. I'm thinking of a good way to say in English this aliyat haratzon. The appearance, it's not arousal, sort of implies something pushing it. Appearance would imply revelation. I'm thinking what's... aliyat haratzon.
The thought entered. The thought came up. The reason we have a difficulty in finding in English a word for aliyat haratzon is because we have a difficulty of conceptualizing the whole thing. In our thinking process, any activity has to have had some cause.
Right. So simply saying the arising of his intent.
That's right. Arising, but where did it? What brought it about that it should arise? Let's focus in a little bit. I know this is very difficult, and we're coming into something which is so challenging. I discussed with my son yesterday. Is it possible to teach this? You can teach anything, but it's really.
Yeah.
Even in our mindset, in our orientation, human orientation. We always give the mashal of a wealthy person versus a king. I'm talking about a king. Clearly, you have to project a king worthy of being a king who is in entire personality, entire spirit, a king. What is the difference between a wealthy person and a king? A wealthy person, no matter how wealthy he is, his wealth is definable. Even though it may be of such quantity that it is inexhaustible, nonetheless, there is a quantity there. The king, his wealth, so to speak, or his provisions are not within the realm of being defined by quantity. And here is a difference on a practical level. The wealthy person may have also a kind of an inspiration to go and help others. I have so much, let me benefit others. Let's take that scenario a little bit. I have so much, let me help others. What arouses this desire to help others? It is the contrast between me and them. I have so much, they have nothing. And this contrast kind of arouses a mercy, a feeling of concern, and says, okay, let's help them out. It is out of a sense of pity and feeling along with their pain and so forth. A melech, his attention to his subjects and his intent of bringing them up, raising their status, is not based on comparison to himself. It's very difficult to narrow it down. We'll try several scenarios. One is, they're worthy of being supported. They're my subjects. They're in my kingdom. It's not out of pity. It's not a top-down look. It is out of respect and out of a recognition of their value, of their deservance. It's a completely different attitude. It is looking at the subject from the perspective of their greatness, not from their smallness. And the haratzon is also coming out representing the greatness of the king, not recognition of there is somebody who is smaller than I. The greater the king, the greater will be his statement of relating to his subjects. Thus, this aliyat haratzon is representing the infinity of the king. And the content, they say, is that the intent of the haratzon is to give that infinity over, not out of mercy and pity. Why give up? Because they deserve it. You follow? It's a completely different scenario. This gives us a little bit of an inkling. Aliyat haratzon. The haratzon just rose up on its own from the greatness of the king. This is where the haratzon came from.
When we say like they deserve it, it's interesting in a sense because it's like gevura is like, do they deserve it? But we're saying they do deserve it. But we're talking about Eser spheros over here. But at the same time, we're not talking about chesed, gevura, tiferes in a sense. We're saying they do deserve it. It's like equal in a sense.
No, you came in the middle. You missed the whole point.
No, I guess I missed some point.
Okay, you missed the point.
Okay.
We're talking about a king's attitude.
Right. Okay.
A king's attitude doesn't relate to chesed, gevura, tiferes.
Right. Okay. That's okay.
It's an attitude coming from the greatness.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so put that aside.
So just to tie this back to where we were before, the contrast between the wealthy man and the king. We were saying that it rises up in his intent, and this aliyat haratzon sets boundaries, and these are...
Oh, no, one second. Aliyat haratzon means that he wants to reveal.
Yeah.
By definition, the minute there is a definitive intent, there are some boundaries as to what is going to be revealed.
Right, and the sphirot gnuzos are representative of that. Then we went into the king and the wealthy man to illustrate the point of
Aliyat haratzon.
Namely, the king was the example of
Aliyat haratzon. Now, the haratzon came up. You asked me about Aliyat haratzon. How you translate Aliyat haratzon? The haratzon came up on its own. No solicitation.
Like
no cause.
Yeah, like the king.
Like the king.
Masha'enken, the wealthy man, it's the contrast that pushes him. He
That's
is
right.
petty, he compares.
That's right.
Is there a way to describe what is being revealed?
What is being revealed is the truth of the king himself. But it's not the entire truth, because then there would be no benefit in the revealing. It is set in 10 sphirot. Now instead of enkets, 10 sphirot. That will enable the recipient to relate to what's being given to him. These sphirot gnuzos, which is aliyat haratzon. Haratzon haposhut, this is we discussed yesterday, the emphasis was on poshut. There is no cause, no solicitation. I just want to, as it was talking, it occurred to me it would be an opportunity to point something out. It says there is chesed Yishmael. Yishmael, Avram was chesed, the kedusha, and Yishmael was chesed, the klipa. And we always point out an interesting thing. Avram is chesed, Yitzchak is gevura. Contrast is the opposite of Avram, chesed gevura. Yishmael is chesed. So who is closer to Avram? Who reflects Avram more? Yishmael or Yitzchak? Yishmael states, yeah, I'm reflecting Avram. Great. Yitzchak says, no, I have my own path. I have my own path. One second, we didn't hear. Say again.
Now the point is that the small is clearer. Even it's clearer, it's clearer. Something.
One second. You're jumping the gun. Okay. So Shmuel reflects Avram more closer than Yitzchak. What is the kind of the inside explanation to this? You say, Yitzchak is your offspring and not Ishmael. How come? And the answer, of course, is Yitzchak took the pnimius of Avraham. The pnimius of Avraham is there's a balabait l'birosu, to serve the Mevash. So Yitzchak, when he thought in terms of serving the Mevash, not in terms of being fulfilled and being close to Avraham, being recognized, but fulfilling his mission in life, he saw it from a Gevura perspective. Yishmael, on the other hand, he saw it person fulfillment. So he says the best way is to approximate Avraham. And what is, in fact, I'm saying Chesed de Avraham, Chesed de Yishmael. Chesed de Yishmael is Chesed de Klippe. The simplest way of describing Chesed de Klippe is that one takes pity on the unfortunate. And he says, I can't stand watching people suffer. It bothers me. And therefore, I'm going to alleviate their suffering. It's very beautiful, right? This is called Chesed de Klippe. You're not really giving them cognizance in terms of their purpose in life, their value. It is a reflection of how that influences you. Chesed de Avram, what was Avram's mode of extolling Chesed? He took Arabs, he took the lowest people, brought them into his tent, and fed them and told them to say a bracha. Okay. I think let's continue.
Yeah, we got it. We're making these distinctions right now.
It just came up because we were discussing it. It had an opportunity to kind of clearly identify it.
Okay, what's the motivation of Chesed and Kedusha?
Chesed Kedusha. Like the king, yeah.
Chesed and Kedusha is brought about by recognizing. So v'yahato l'recha komecha. And what's up to v'yahato l'recha komecha? Because Reyacho has an neshama de Kedusha. Reyacho represents the haratzon Ayin, and out of respect, not out of pity. One of the types in the word is you should wish for your friend the same that you wish for yourself. You should want for your friend what you want for yourself. In Klippe, I want him to be good, but I don't want I want him to be equal with me. Then where do I stand? means, no, I want him to be equal with me. Komeicha. All right, let's go. I said we are on the bottom line on page Nun Vav. So having said that Eshes Filas Agnusis are present. Okay, I got you.
Rabbi, continue, please.
What?
I interrupted your sentence. I want you to finish your sentence, at least. I have a question.
Having said that Eshes Filas Agnusis are in the aliyat haratzon, vehinei aliyat haratzon, and this is why there is sphirot, because sphirot mean that there is some kind of a plan. Otherwise, the sphirot will go. Ain't cats. That's aliyat haratzon. Haratzon means to will, to express something. And that creates sphirot. And this is the shoyresh. This is the shoyresh and the mocker for sevei kol am u'malei kol am. We have not yet gotten into the principle of sevei kol am u'malei kol am, which we will in Mitzvah Hashem. But we all know that sevei kol am u'malei kol am are the two godly present means godly presence qualities that enable the present existence of the world.
Oh, Soivev is still associated with world.
Yes, sevei kol am.
Okay, fine. Masha Enken by what? Or Ein Sof.
Ein Sof is not world.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question before we continue? There's also the midah of rachamim, which is pity. But we're saying, and it's also of kedusha. We're saying that pity is not like kedusha.
Okay,
Okay.
leave that
No.
out. Okay. Is there anything else that we haven't discussed yet?
Everything.
I thought we touched everything.
We will. Not now. Soon.
Yeah, that's the beginning of the mimer. The whole hamshach is tested.
All right, so there is sevei kol am and u'malei kol am. Aliyat haratzon, this is the rotzen libre to bring out the world. That inherently contains the inyan of sevei kol am and u'malei kol am. In order to that there be a world, there has to be two godly qualities revealed for the sake of the world, to enable world. One is called sevei kol am, one is called u'malei kol am. Let us try and introduce the principle behind this. The Rambam says the first principle is to know that there is a first being. We discussed the principle of first being. First being means a being that is totally independent of anything. First and foremost. No cause, no explanation, this is the reality itself. First being. Then there is a creation. This first being is what creates. As a matter of fact, the ability to create is exclusively in the purview, in the ability of this first being. Creation means to create without any precedent. Only the first being has that quality, that capability. Now, when this first being creates, this creation is not on par with him as a creation. He has a source, the will of the Creator. Now, this created entity I'll step away from it, just go into kind of a motion. A primary mitzvah in the Torah is avos is kibud avoim, right? Kibud avoim. What's the point of kibud avoim? They begot you, but they made you independent entity. There are different ways, different scenarios, relationships, how we explain that. But the payam mamash, you're now independent. You're now a separate thing. You have to support yourself. You have to find your own nisus, your own understanding of your being here in the world. So we said many times, one of the most painful aspects that can possibly be in human life and experience is if he doesn't know who his parents are. It's a total loss. He cannot identify himself, he cannot see himself as a real person. Because on the created level, when is a creation real? When it has a sense of who created me. How do I get here? Just as if you enter this room and you see tables set up with chairs, it's beautifully arranged, very practical, very beautiful and so forth. But if you did not, as I said many times, if this were just a model home, not a living home, you would have a completely different influence. You right away relate, there is somebody who has set it up. What's the difference that there is somebody, it's a proper setup. The proper setup without that somebody who set it up lacks reality, lacks life. In other words, okay, I've said all the Mishalim, but now we come to the point. Yes, the Rebbe created the world. And the creation of the world is from Motzer Rishon. This Motzer Rishon now is completely divorces himself from the creation, or is there a continued relationship? The creation is not Motzer Rishon. Creation is a creation. What if this creation had no relationship, no influence, no cognizance of the Motzer Rishon? He would not be a real being.
If the world had no sense of its originator, it would not be real.
That's right. And this is why we have Sover Kolamim and Mala Kolamim. Sover Kolamim is, it's not part of the world. Mala Kolamim relates to what's contained in the world. Sover Kolamim is simply saying, there is the originator, there is the source. And it's completely above, it's Sover. But that is what gives the world a real sense of presence.
Sounds like we're saying even beyond that, even beyond the sphirot and cakes is the Ayin safe.
No. Ayin safe has nothing to do with the world. This is, since you mentioned it, and you have no time much more, this is the klipa interest. What do I need? I want to go play in safe. I need the FCAs.
Wait, what? That's a clipper Indian because
He wants to go to the source of sources.
Moshe-
Independent of what you... I'm not waiting for you to give it to me. I'll go myself.
oh that
You can't go yourself, no.
Everything gave you cervical amalgam. No, wait. Where do you get it from? I want to go to there. And that's why it's possible to have take your largesse to yourself. I'm going to go myself. Sefer Kulam means, yes, it is something which is bestowed to you. But thereby you have a real source, a real meaning to you, a real presence.
okay, so
Given to you.
Soviv
Not
is,
your own,
Soviv is surrounding but still concerned with.
but the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Surrounding for the world. That is a sphirot admit.
Right, I always thought Ramale was concerned with and imbued in, and Soviv was kind of more unto itself, but here it's more...
No, it's service unto itself. But what is the influence upon the creation, upon the world? It gives him a sense that there is a true source, a source higher than itself.
Like unto himself, but yet within view from the world.
That's
Okay.
This is the Esser Sfiras Hagnuzis. This is the Shorish Moker of the Sefer B'Mal. Okay, I have to have some words inside, so we're going to have the first half line. Vehinei, behold, ha'oir ha'memale kolam, the oir, the memale kolam, the oir of memale kolam, that level of oir, harehu nimshach mi bechinas eir ha'sefer. That is drawn, it comes forth from the aspect of oir ha'sefer. Okay, to be continued. Have a great day.